my name's Sydney Gregson from Saracens Women, and you're watching the Women's Rugby Show.
Hello, and welcome back to the Women's Rugby Show. I'm Sam, by the way, and today I'm here with part one of a two-part Discussions with a Cuppa Olympic special. In part one, I'll be talking to two of Team GB's Olympic Sevens squad about what the Olympic means to them and their earliest Olympic memories, and just talking all things Olympics. Before in part two, I'll be previewing the Olympic Sevens tournament in Tokyo myself. So before we get into this video, make sure you like this video on YouTube, subscribe to us on YouTube as well, and check us out across all social medias. If you don't know that, let's get into the video. Obviously, the tournament, Tokyo was postponed from last summer to this summer. How tough was that kind of time around not knowing what was going to go on, what's going to happen? How tough was that little period?
Yeah, it was really tough. Like there was some real lows. There was some, you kind of, I was sat at home, and I think I was obviously middle of lockdown, like everyone was. And to find out that something you're kind of gearing towards and all the preparation, hard work is now having to be moved 365 days later, and you're kind of like, well, where does this leave me? And yeah, there was a real tough times, and I think a lot of us did struggle at times, and kind of it was hard to just kind of stay on top of things when you knew it wasn't going to be around the corner, or you weren't sure when the next thing was going to happen. And completely grateful to the National Lottery for like stepping in and being like, we'll fund you guys, and there has a program, because genuinely if they didn't, we wouldn't be sat here having this conversation, I don't think. And it's nice that we've got the backing of other people, and it's now up to us to go and show why you should have backed it. People should back us,
Obviously you were involved in 2016 as well. How much does this kind of experience and camp differ to the build up to the last time?
Yeah, it's very different. Our squad is completely different. I think there's about 5 of us, I think, that were involved in 2016. This time it's more camp based. So obviously last year we had the whole year to kind of get into it. We had all the World Series events. We had like loads of tournaments in between that. So we could, practice and play how we were trying to play. But this time we've only had about 4 or 5 months to really prep, which in itself is a challenge. But actually I think because it's been camp based, it's been better for us because it's been so intense. We just have to be switched on. It is very different, but it's a good feeling, because I think everything that each nation has been through and the world has been through COVID, like it brings a bit more, not pressure, but actually more kind of, we want to go out there, perform and bring home that medal, that it kind of is something for everyone to like kind of look at and give hope for the nation, I guess.
Yeah. Do you feel like one of the older heads in the squad now after being at Rio?
I do, and I'm only 25. I do, yeah, and I think because of all that experience that I've kind of had, and I can kind of use, hopefully, in a good way to influence maybe some of the younger lot coming through that have never been to such a big event and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's definitely feel like a bit of an older head in the group.
Yeah. Do you think it's important that there are a few who were there at 2016, obviously Jazz Joyce as well, to kind of influence the squad, help knowing what actually goes on, what the Olympics feels like?
Yeah, completely. Because I think last time, obviously, we had no idea because rugby was brand new in 2016. Well, it was actually really helpful. We had some of the hockey girls come in and like chat about stuff before we went to Rio, and that was really helpful because you're kind of like, oh, what is like the food like? And you like ask like stupid questions, but actually they're so important to know, so that you've spoken about it and all those kind of elephant in the rooms are kind of dealt with. So yeah, I do think it's important that we can hopefully share a bit of experience and a bit of knowledge, almost what it's like when you actually get there.
Obviously, the camp this time has been, as people see on the Mission Possible stuff on YouTube, there's been all sorts going on in camp. How much has actually been quite enjoyable to be doing different things, meeting different people?
Yeah, it is so good. Like the culture, like we're 3 different nations, so everyone's different within that as well. But having like all our cultures mixed together is really good, and it's really refreshing. We do a lot of like fun games, and like it is really good fun. And now we started rooming and stuff like that. So like it's definitely getting there, and the social element is like lacking. Like what's it called? It's kind of easing a bit, isn't it? Like COVID life. So actually we can start easing a little bit, because I think that's the other part, is that COVID life here is quite extreme, but I think that's because Tokyo is going to be similar. So they're trying to prep us for what it would be like, which is obviously what we need. But at the same time, you still want to have a sociable time.
Do Did you find it tough going back into having a roommate again after being on your own for so long in camp?
Oh yeah, like I think everyone was stressing a little bit because everyone was like, "I'm not sure how I'm going to be," because you've been on your own. Like everyone had their own rooms. Like you kind of through COVID, you did things on your own and you did it for yourself. And I think it was always that element of, oh, what if it's awkward again? But actually, I think everyone had a great time. So it's just getting into a different routine again, isn't it?
Yeah, I mentioned that Mission Possible videos, all this series. How important do you think stuff like that, and also the GB Sevens Instagram being doing takeovers, you've done one yourself? How important do you think that kind of media is to pushing the program, saying, "Oh, we're still doing this, we're still going to Tokyo"?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think social media is the thing at the moment, isn't it? So people getting behind it and seeing what we're doing week in, week out, day to day, I think is really good. And actually, I've enjoyed watching them back because the guys that come in are absolutely amazing at doing what they do. And it's really cool watching it back and being like, oh yeah, that's what we did this week. That was really cool. But then like your friends and your family get to see it as well. And I think it's huge to kind of get a broader kind of network and people that might not know what we're doing or really understand rugby, but actually they can follow us and they can follow our journey, and actually we hopefully come across more personal, and they get to know us as people rather than just, oh, that's that rugby player that I really like, but actually they're now interacting with us as people, and I think that's huge as well.
Yeah. How tough is kind of the social part of camp being? Obviously a big part of coming together is being social, having fun. How's that tough as that been in the previous weeks when you're not been really been able to speak to each other outside of rugby?
Yeah, real tough. And I definitely think we've tried to find ways, but like over Zoom and stuff like that. But it's like it's kind of got to that point where like I don't want to see someone on a computer anymore. I want to see someone face to face. And last week we were really fortunate. We were at St George's Park and we had like a big common room. And because of having roommates again, we were able to have a bit of socialising and a few games and stuff, which was really good and really needed. So I think it's just about trying to talk to different people, and hopefully we can sit at the dinner table with different people and stuff like that now. Hopefully now we're back here, but it's sitting with people that you probably wouldn't usually sit with, just because you have to put yourself in that position, and it is uncomfortable for some people, but that's the only social time we have, so we kind of have to do it.
And obviously the vast majority of the girls squad has been playing the Premier 15s across the season. How important do you think that was to have the girls playing rugby, and so they weren't completely unfresh from coming into camp?
Yeah, huge. So I played at Loughborough Lightning, and it was great. It was good to have some sort of rugby element, because otherwise I think a lot of us would be like, well, how do we play rugby again, and kind of picking up a rugby ball for the first time again for like over a year. So it was huge that I think we had something to almost distract us as well from not the unknown of what this situation might be, but actually we could put our energy into the 15s and kind of into our clubs and trying to push them forwards as well. But yeah, so I think it's huge, especially physically as well, getting our bodies kind of robust to those contacts as well.
And obviously a good proportion playing in the Six Nations as well, and a fair few being successful with England. Obviously Meg, Helena, Alex. How important do you think that was, having a little bit of success to have the motivation in camp going ahead to Tokyo?
Yeah, huge. Like I think especially like all the Scottish girls played, or the Welsh girls played, like there was so many people played in the Six Nations, and I think it just shows the hard work that us as athletes we're doing, and it's we're putting ourselves in the right place to be selected, but also it's great that we have such great players as well, and that's important. The competition is really hot this year, and I think that's also really good for us, because otherwise that's only going to push us as a squad and hopefully bring home that medal, because actually we've had that competition and we've pushed each other and challenged each other every single day.
And when you were younger, kind of what did the Olympics mean to you? Did you sit down and watch them at all, or like what was your earliest kind of memory of it?
Yeah, if I'm honest, like I didn't as much as probably another person might have, because rugby was never in it, and I think that's probably part of it. I'm very much a sporting, a team person, sorry. So like, actually I kind of looked at it, I was like, well, rugby's not in it, so I'm never going to be able to go to the Olympics. And obviously as a child, as a sporting child, everyone's like, oh, I want to go to the Olympics, and of course it did, but I was also like, that isn't my goal, because I want to play rugby. And I loved watching kind of the Winter Olympics and stuff like that, just different sports. I thought it was just amazing how there's so many different sports out there and so many incredible athletes, and I don't think anyone really quite understands what that person goes through until you're in that position. You're like, actually, you've been through a lot and you're still at the top of your game, like that is incredible in itself.
And what was Rio like then for when you were there, mixing with a load of athletes? How was it kind of surreal once you were there?
Oh, it's so surreal. I remember getting a lift with Andy Murray and I kind of just froze and I was like, I don't have anything to say. And he was like, hiya. And I was like, hi. Like, what do you say to that? Like, I'm just me. I'm Abbie. I'm just the local girl. And you're literally Andy Murray asking me how I am. Like, that was just, to me, I couldn't comprehend it. So yeah, that element of just like, wow, we are almost on like the same playing field here. And that's just ridiculous.
Before Rio, kind of when did you feel that, oh, I could be going to an Olympics here? Like, when was that kind of moment switched in your head?
Probably not till like a month or a couple of months before. Like I just kind of, I recently came into that year, so that was my first year in the Sevens program. You know, I was still quite young. Like I went on loads of World Series, I went on loads of tours. Like I just enjoyed playing. Like I just enjoyed it and I loved it. And then I kept getting selected for like World Series with the main England squads, and I just was like, oh, keep getting selected. Like that's got to mean something. But I never really put my like eyes or set my goals for that, because at the time when I first came into the program, I didn't think that would be realistic. And it's not until I started playing more, and I started a bit, and then I was like playing more minutes and stuff like that, and the coach kind of gave me more confidence. I was like, oh, maybe I could be going to the Olympics here, and that's a really exciting prospect. So, but I just kind of kept my head down and worked hard and hope for the best, I guess.
And did you think at the end of Rio you'd be going again in 4 years' time? Well, 5 years' time now.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think I'd be going. I was like, I want to do that again. And I still really, fingers crossed, obviously, hope I can do that again. And not just for, I think even more so now, because of everything that's happened this last year or so, that I want to go again and I want to bring back that medal, not just for me, but for everyone that's kind of been a part of it.
And how do you think you'll be feeling when if hopefully, fingers crossed, you get to the Tokyo, walking out of the opening ceremony or walking out for that first game? How do you think it'll be feeling after everything that's gone on in the world in the past year?
I hope just like pride and kind of the love for it, and just be happy where I am, because actually that's what's most important. And that's why I love the weekend just gone, and just because I did reflect and go, actually, where have we been in, like you said, the world? Actually, where's that all been? But the fact that if hopefully the Olympics, I go to the Olympics, actually how hard people have worked to make this happen. And yeah, I guess kind of everyone's going to be watching, because it's something that everyone needs, especially after the year we've been through. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I can go and bring home that medal.
And going back a little bit toward kind of last year and when everything kind of got stopped, did you feel like, how was your mood and the mood with all the other girls about, is this going to happen now? Obviously you moved back to 15s, but how tough was that kind of period for you?
Yeah, it was really, really tough. And I was injured at the time. And it's always hard because you suddenly have that unknown of what's going to happen. We had no answers. Obviously there was that question as well, like, is Tokyo, what's happening with the whole Olympics and stuff like that? It was a very difficult time, but luckily we had 15 to kind of go back into and just keep our minds off it. But I know some of the girls probably didn't have that as much as us England girls had at the time. And then when we got told it was kind of coming back together, but it was going to be a different squad again, like, it's always nervous because you have no idea what's going to go on. But now looking back at it, it's made me especially want this more, and it's made you realise how lucky we are to kind of be where we are right now. And in the world we're living in with COVID and stuff, is being able to put this all together is massive. And we know there's a lot of work that's been done to kind of be able to have us here and have a tournament going on as well.
When you were younger, how much did the kind of Olympics mean to you? Did you like sit down and watch it at all during the summers, or like kind of just what did it mean to you?
I watch the Olympics all the time in summer, so I'm normally always in Sweden when it's happening. So we'll just put it on and flick through everything and watch it all. And I've been to quite a lot of the swimming trials to get it selected for the Olympics as well. I never really played rugby when I was younger, but I always wanted to go to the Olympics because I had a swimming coach I'd been, and I really, really wanted to go. But I never knew kind of what in, and like I loved swimming at the time, but when I stopped, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to go in. Like, I would love to go to the Olympics, but it's so hard to get there. And then when Sevens started playing Sevens, and then suddenly it was in like an opportunity to go, I was like, oh my days, like it doesn't feel real, because it's always something I've looked up to, and it's always something that's been massive, like the Olympics. And now having the opportunity, yeah, it's hard to understand as well. It's kind of like ticks while you're like, oh my days, like what's going on? But yeah, it's massive.
And if that Olympic dream happens, how do you think you'll be feeling coming into that opening ceremony in Tokyo?
Oh, I don't even know. I don't even think I can actually process it. It would just be phenomenal, because I think as well, especially with the year going into that as well, I think it would be even bigger, the fact that we can be there as the whole squad and the whole journey and everyone that's helped us along. It would be massive. Yeah, I can't even process it.
What was kind of your earliest memory of the Olympics growing up? Do you have earliest memory of watching a specific sport, a specific medal winning?
The biggest one is probably like Michael Phelps in the swimming, and just how he kind of took on the front in front of everyone and all those medals he won. There wasn't anything like, I watched most of the swimming stuff and a bit of track, like Usain Bolt and stuff like that is probably like the biggest ones. And I think the biggest thing with the Olympics as well is you put on any sport and you can watch anything, and there's always something going on. It's not just one sport. As you flick it on and there's always something going on, and you're pretty much watching the whole thing through. As you watch sports that you don't normally sit down and watch, but because it's on the TV and the Olympics, you spend that time. So, yeah.
And how do you think swimming has helped kind of your rugby career? Do you think the skills and strength you brought from swimming has aided you in your rugby life?
Oh, massive. Like swimming, we're in the pool so often. I think the fitness, like my base fitness coming from all those years from swimming, has really helped me now, especially in sevens even more. Just being able to keep going and have that base fitness has really helped me, because when I first came in, I didn't know anything about rugby and I hadn't played anything, but all I was really fit and could run around the pitch for the whole game and not get tired, because I could keep going, and all I had to do was learn the skills and develop as an athlete, as a rugby player, rather than having the athletic ability.
And how have you found kind of bonding with obviously the Welsh girls, the Scottish girls, all the English girls already, but how have you found the bonding together as a team?
Yeah, really easy. Like they're so lovely. Like all the girls here are absolutely lovely. And it's having to not just learn what they're like off the field, it's also learning how they play as well. It's been hard obviously because we've been in our own rooms, and the only time you can kind of gel is on the field. So we always play little games, or we have like an afternoon of bonding and gelling. But yeah, it's been so easy. Everyone's so lovely. Even though we've had a few weeks together, I feel like I know them really well.
And how tough have you found obviously being at Saracens this season, how tough have you found switching back from 15s after going back to 15s last season?
I found it harder to go from sevens to 15s. But that might have been as well because I had pretty much a massive chunk out from injury as well. So I didn't play going into lockdown and stuff, and then coming out. So going to 15s was a bit of a shift, because suddenly there's so many more people on the field, you're having to play very differently. But the switch back to sevens was a lot easier. And also because you have more time on the ball, we're out there all the time, you have the time to switch, where with 15s, because you're not training as much, you're not on the field as much, as instead of, it might take you 6 sessions, however 6 sessions is 3 weeks, so that the time that you have is a lot further, where here we're coming in for a week and we're training, we're only in for 4 days, but we've got 5-6 sessions as well. So yeah, it's been easier to get to sevens.
And finally, before I let you go, obviously I've mentioned the Mission Impossible on YouTube. How nice is that kind of being in the GB Sevens Instagram, being to kind of portray what you do and show like, oh, we are still doing this is still happening? And do you think that's really important as well?
Yeah, I think it's massive. I think it's really nice to see, to showcase what we're doing, and showcasing that it's not easy right now and how much this means to everyone. It's not just the squads that's going to Tokyo that's part of it, it's everyone here and it's everyone along the journey. It's the National Lottery for funding us, it's every single coach, every physio, every facility like St George's Park, and the Loughborough as well. Everything built together. It's not just the final team that goes. And I think it's really important to show the journey of how you grow and how we get there. And also giving everyone an insight into what we're doing to keep going with it all. But yeah, I'm loving being back and having the opportunity to do it.
Perfect. Thanks a lot for chatting to me as well.
It's all right. Thank you.
A big thank you then to Abbie Brown and Emma Uren for talking to us for this one. Wish them both the best of luck in Tokyo, and with all of the GB7 squad, both the men's and the women's side, the best of luck as well. I've been Sam, by the way, and you've been watching the Women's Rugby Show.